Good morning, it's Dame. I thought I would do this little post. This is from Tramart News. A couple years ago, she donated a whole box of art supplies for the children in my neighborhood. I teach them to paint. Or I haven't in a minute. Have a happy day. I'm just going to flip through here, kind of show you how cool the paintings are. I was looking today at my emails, and I couldn't get them all done. I used to teach the kids history, actually my family history, because I was learning it as I was teaching them to paint. I was learning about who my family was, and they had started the first St. James Church, and then it turned to St. Joseph's when it was burnt down. And there's stories about Jesus and James were brothers, and the holy bloodline and the family connections. And there's a lot in the research that the Mormons help me do here. They help anybody do that. So I looked up those family records and went to the Mount Angel Abbey because my family wrote for the Catholic Press for over 30 years. 4 of my aunts, my grandmother, and my great-grandmother, they have hymns. My grandfather was Horatio Spafford. His son, Horatio Spafford Jr., started the Utopian Society in Jerusalem, the American colony in Jerusalem. And there's a lot of people in my family that would go up, long distance, but go up on different religions. Presbyterian, then there's a whole line of people that are in my mother's side is Southern, and those are like Southern Baptists. And just different people, because these lines are going to fall into churches everywhere, all over the world. And, that they're going to be involved in religion if if that's your beliefs. A lot of times, I was raised with, my father went to Catholic school but was kicked out when he punched a priest out who hit him, threw him against a blackboard. And my father punched him out in junior, senior year, right before he graduated, and they kicked him out at Notre Dame, where I'm from. And none of our family could go to that school anymore. They kicked the whole family out because, of course, I wanted to go to all churches all the time. It didn't matter because I thought the whole problem was my parents didn't pray hard enough. That's why my mother died. I really blamed it on that they weren't in a church. So that had to be why Jesus was mad, God was mad or something. And that's not why. That's not at all. Now I know about programming and Project Monarch and all these things that we live through in the area that I'm from. Now, another thing is that I got another no, my book of no's of where I'm from. So the Holland Land Office director, his name's Ryan Duffy. He might have gotten the entire city of Batavia. I'm not sure if he's the city historian or not, but unfortunately, there's too much information, says Jill Fine of the Richmond Memorial Library, on my family to really narrow it down. She spent 3 hours and sent me some things, but it wasn't really, it was interesting in this, especially this. What I thought about people in Batavia and how it was a lot to do with the Pan Am and the reset of the United States and what we consider the government now came through. And my grandmother had a school for girls, and it's now the Mommy Day School in Toledo, Ohio. But that started as a girls' school in Pavilion, New York. Then it moved with Miss Bryan's school. They joined up, and then it was at the Holland Land Office Museum. There was a fire. They don't talk about that in their history. That's kind of glossed over. They said that the two sisters, the Smead sisters, taught at that school once it was taken over by the Beardsley lady. But anyway, that's irrelevant. In the record that she sent me last week, there was a letter. One of the ladies that went to her school I'm going to read that out loud, but it was a girls' school, a finishing school, and she ended up, her family was with this Mr. Milburn, he became head of the Pan Am Exposition in Buffalo, New York. He married a woman from Batavia, and the government was run out of his house in Buffalo during the exposition when President McKinley was assassinated. And she had gone to that school, and she has, her name is Theodosia Burr. I can't think of the last name. Is it Milburn? I'll put attachments on this with her Wikipedia page. She came up with the California poppy, which I grow, which I make syrup. It's so healthy, so good for you. And here it is that she went to my grandmother's school and came up with this. There's a Wikipedia page for her. I'll attach it because I know I'm messing up her name. I apologize. I read so many names and I'm so sorry for that. I promise. I want to get a gallery show and really do a good job and build one on a website, but I'm just not really good at that stuff. So I'm trying to figure that out, and I've got the information. I just need the means to do it. So this kid was such a good kid, Ezra. Man, he was my bud. He was a great kid. He has cars on all these kids were kids I painted with that are not here anymore. And Sean gave them cars he gave them cars to take home, and he gave them cars for his Oregon Diecast Hot Wheels racing channel. And he would run races with these kids sometimes. They would ask, and he'd go over to the playhouse and run a race for them now and then. So anyway, as I was researching that today, and this woman's email to me was just so egregious. I talked to her for about 45 minutes. It took her 3 months to call me back from the Richmond Memorial Library in Batavia, New York. And, it's not their thing because they're rewriting history. So they don't want to tell us the truth. It's, she gives me it's just like the AI. You have to ask the right questions or you're not going to get the answer you want. It's just going to be played to you. So ask another way around. I must have been going to frame something. To get your information. It's not, in my opinion, this whole thing with 2022 and the deal with the city is more to gaslight me and think like your family's nothing, you're nothing. They always treated me, people treated me well in some cases, but in other cases not, and certainly not since I moved. When I moved, it was like, it just all flipped so fast, but, the same token, wealth was what mattered where I was from. And if you weren't wealthy, then you were looked at as like you were nothing. And my father grew weed and had this bad reputation as punching out a priest. He saved a lot of kids a lot of trouble. And I remember one of the owner's cousins, these random cousins came in. And this is at the mob bar I worked at. And the lady was like, "Oh my God, I remember your father. He had a ducktail, and his head was so greasy when the priest threw him against the blackboard, the grease from his hair slid down the whole blackboard." The truth of that was that priest had hit my father, and he did that in front of the entire class. He slammed him by his throat up against the wall and held him up off his feet. And then my dad slid down, and my father was a great boxer, and my father knocked him out with one punch, and he just slid down. Well, let me tell you what, it wasn't a good thing to have to. People characterize that as he was evil, and not really, but he punched out a priest. That's how she said it, and it was made to look real bad and be embarrassed. And at the time, I just said my father saved a lot of people a lot of trouble with that priest. He never put his hands on another kid again. So don't let them tell you that what you do isn't important and you're not important. And write it down. If people don't remember what you do and you're doing so much that you're tired, then you write it down and you say, "I did all these things today. This person doesn't give me credit for one." That could be a 5-year-old. It's unfortunate, but kids will get you stressed. I would just think I can't keep my eye open another minute, and because you got to get that one thing before you go to bed. The kids are going to be up in the morning. All that stuff is stressful. And I want you ladies to know that are with these kids staying home, whether they're yours or not. Take the time to enjoy it. And know that you're building the future going forward. And there's not that many. We're at a loss for kids in America right now. We're not having as many kids as other people coming here. And that's the state of Europe and the state of a lot of other places. So give yourself grace. Give yourself grace and say, "I am doing this to the best of my ability. Jesus sees me and he's trying," or whatever you believe. I believe in Jesus. But do your best, because Jesus, he was with me. I got through those 15 years at the prison, them setting me up time and time again with random inmates. And you can listen to inmates say how a guard or anybody in admin can pay them, tell them, "You're going to do this." And this guy told the whole story about how he was told to whack someone, a civilian, and he liked her and he didn't want to do it, and he saved her life. And I just thought, I don't know how many people saved my life there, but I'm very thankful. I pray for them all the time. So, in Jesus' name we pray for all these little kids. And I hope you have a good day. God bless.